Good afternoon, my sweet friends, and welcome back to another stormy day here at Peaceful Bird Gardens. So we are prepping for Tropical Storm Hurricane Helene. It should be a hurricane possibly by the time it reaches our latitude here. So it's not supposed to hit Tampa Bay directly, but we are supposed to get a lot of wind and a lot of rain. Now, to prep for that type of a storm is actually not that big of a deal. People would probably look at a system like ours and think, oh my gosh, what a nightmare to have, that during a storm situation. But it's actually not too bad because we continually prune and maintain our gardens. So when a storm hits, it's just a little bit of making sure there's nothing loose debris wise, or plants that are sensitive to possible wind breakage or things like that. So I'm going to take you around and just kind of show you the basics of what we do. It is starting to rain, so we're about to get, it's Wednesday afternoon, so we're about to get the initial bans from Helene. And so let's get this done quickly. And I'll just, as I mentioned, just take you through and show you some of the basic things that we do to prepare for a storm like this. Okay, so I wish I could have showed this to you before I cut it down, but this is moringa. This is moringa here, and they get incredibly tall. So I had a couple of stalks that were a good 12 feet tall. So we just took those down because I don't want them breaking off and potentially harming the fence, between me and my neighbor's shed right there, or any of those things. So we just kind of make sure that anything that is super tall, shooting up into the air, those two essentially stakes were taken down. So that's one thing that we absolutely do. And I also try to make sure that there's nothing loose, that could be a projectile in the pathways or along the path, things like that. So things that are staked into the ground and not just laying loosely. So one of the things that we did do, and I'll walk back here to our bananas, is we had a banana, and my bird feeder, that'll come inside later. I just wanted to give the birds every opportunity they could because it's going to be raining for the next 2 days. And I'll just lay that shepherd's hook on the ground. So I'll talk about my banana in a moment, but this is our seating area in the back, food forest area. So this is where we love to have our breakfast in the evening times and meditate. So this space usually is covered with mosquito netting and a canopy over the top. Well, in high winds, it'll just shred it. I've seen people's, on Facebook and stuff, their posts about how their stuff just got shredded in a storm, and even just normal storms. So that all came down, and we'll just put it right back up after the storm is over, and took all our cushions and everything inside. So anything that's loose, that could possibly blow away, fly away, you want to make sure that you've battened those things down. This was this stump. As you can see, there's a stump here now. This was a dwarf nemois that had finished. We got the banana rack off of it, but the plant itself was leaning quite significantly towards my pond. So I had my son come out here and help me just take it down to stump-ish level, so that I'm not concerned about it leaning and falling over any further. She's finished for the year, this particular plant, and I need to process it and add it back to the garden anyway, but I don't have time to do that before the storm comes, so we just kind of laid the stalk in the pathway there. It's so heavy, it is so heavy that it's not going anywhere. So that, let's see, back in this area, I have plant pots that I kind of store, and my rain barrel's not going anywhere, it's full. This is just kind of my crappy little infrastructure area. I just make sure everything is turned over, I put a little bit of soil around the edges of the cans here. This is what I use for my compost tea. My little garden cart's turned over, everything's turned over. My little tomato cages and things like that. There's no wind resistance, so we've never ever had an issue with the tomato cages like flying off and going places. So I don't worry too much about that. And my little plant jails either that I store over here. There's no wind resistance. These just don't move or generally go anywhere. They don't get blown around or become an issue. So that's what we do for our infrastructure area. We generally keep this really clean, or clean-ish anyway, so it's generally not a problem. So yeah, so let's take a walk around. And if you remember the bananas in the front, So the bananas in the or along the side, I suppose you could say. I already took in my wind chimes. I have wind chimes out here, so those came in. That's a no-brainer, of course. This section with my ladyfinger bananas. So this is an experiment. I put them over here to protect them because where they were in the original banana section, one year during one of these storms, we had 6 or 7 of them topple onto each other. So I'm hoping that the wind between me and my neighbor, or that this area between me and my neighbor's house can protect my plants from the wind. We shall see. We shall see if this actually works out that way, or if, I don't know, if this becomes a wind tunnel. I did just cut all my chia down because it was just getting crazy and it was shading out the bananas. So I was just like, you know what, just hack it. So I hacked it back. I probably should have waited a little bit because that could also act as a wind buffer for my plants, but c'est la vie, here we are. And at least now they're not projectiles. So let's take a walk around to the front. So this area here, I tend to store stuff by my back door. This is my compost area. This is just I don't know, just a little crappy area outside my back door where I just happen to keep stuff. So I've got some potted plants here that I'll just bring inside because I have no intention of planting those out. Those I'm just going to grow in a pot. And so I'm going to bring those inside. Any plant pots, things like that, you just want to make sure those things are stored away, and any lawn furniture, patio furniture, that sort of thing, just bring that stuff inside. Let's take a walk through the front and see what we did up here. Okay, so I pruned our cocoa plums like last weekend, pruned the podocarpus 2 weekends, I want to say, ago. And again, I will bring in our hummingbird feeders, the mulberry tree, and I'll bring you around to show you the mulberry tree. There's nothing I can do about that. I mean, oh, dragonfly, gorgeous. So you see how she's all wispy and lanky? That's just going to have to blow in the wind. It just is. They're very bendy. It's soft wood. It's not hardwood. So they will just kind of bend and move and blow with, they'll just go with it. Hopefully, that's the idea. So yeah, same with the Taiwan cotton rose. So this particular plant, it'll just bend, and see how wispy they are? They just kind of bend and blow. And if they break, it's not the end of the world. It's not crazy. All right. So, bird baths. I have a bird bath, and it's pretty protected in here in my beauty berry, but I went ahead and I just dump it, and I just lay my little bird bath top on the ground. So yeah, and then I'll coil up my hose and just kind of store that in the garage, and that's really it. And I went through and again just made sure that the driveway was all clear and that there wasn't anything out here too crazy that could be a projectile. And I like to just blow off my driveway, blow off the sidewalks, because I just know that come Friday morning, there is just going to be a ridiculous amount of debris. So our trash cans, we normally put those into the garage, but honestly, I'll show them to you. I think we're just going to leave them. And if I'm making anyone dizzy with this video, I apologize. So yeah, so this is our garbage can area back here. And can you see them? Can you see the garbage cans and the recycling can? Probably not. So the plants, so I've got frostweed right there. I've got a Bahama cassia right here. I've got a Simpson stopper. I've got marlberries and passion vine and Ravinia humilis and all kinds of stuff back here. So they're pretty dang well protected by the plants in and of themselves. Oh, and a little side note, look at the marlberry. She's all in flower. Look at her. Look at her pretty flowers. Hello, gorgeous. Hello, gorgeous. All right, my sweet friends, nothing too crazy. Just make sure that anything that can blow away is stored in a safe place in your garage where it can't become a projectile or a missile or something along those lines. Make sure any plants that you have, are well pruned, maintained. If you have any dead wood, those types of things, the plant can become susceptible to breakage. If you have plants staked, be mindful that I've had this happen in the past, that wherever I had the plant staked and had like a little tie or a twine or something around the plant and had it attached to the stake, the plant snapped at that point. So you can create weak points that way. So just keep in mind, if you have plants that are staked up, that you might want to untether them during a storm so that they can just bend and move however, you know, they need to in order to compensate for, you know, the wind and that. They're designed for it. But if we stake them, they no longer, you know, have those same benefits. So just something to keep in mind. So yeah, that's really it. Just making sure that you don't have a lot of debris that can blow around. Making sure that you don't have anything that can become a missile, lawn furniture. Some people throw them in their pool. I don't have a pool, those types of things. So good luck, my friends. Stay safe. My heart is with you if you are in one of the areas that is going to be badly hit. I heard St. George Island, unfortunately, is going to be hit directly. And we used to go on vacation to St. George Island. So to the people up in the Big Bend area and the place where this is going to hit the hardest, our hearts and our thoughts and our hearts are with you. And if you're interested in this kind of growing food in a backyard, growing natives to support wildlife, come on the journey with us. Give us a like, hit subscribe, and I hope to see you again on another Peaceful Bird Gardens. Have a lovely afternoon.